4 years too, before getting sucked back into this corporate vortex, which I still, wondering if I made the right decision, but of course, we always want to believe we make the right decisions at the time.
Did you say you sold real estate?
No.
Oh.
I was a consultant. I
Okay,
taught people
that's
how
what I
to
thought,
sell.
but then I was like, wait.
Yeah. Primarily real estate agents and lenders, people who I've been calling on for the last 30 years, right? So that's a little bit about my background. I'll get more into it as we go. We'll keep it light and fun and just keep it real too. That's kind of my specialty, right? But the Peter thing is kind of funny. That is my name, and it means the rock in Latin. I don't know if you know that. It's a good name, but nobody names their kids Peter anymore, right? I don't know why, unless you're Italian on the East Coast or something, right? Peter and Johnny and this and that. But like a West Coast, it's just not a well-known name. The reason why I have, Mike was kind enough, but I announce myself as Peter typically when I introduce is because if I say Peter, Steve, Pete, I get called Steve or Keith all the time.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird, and I think I enunciate pretty well, but whatever, it is what it is. So, hence the Peter thing. So, this I'll kind of move right in because I actually have a lot of material in here, but I'll get it done here quickly because I know you guys are probably just.
No, you hit till 7 o'clock.
Yeah, sure.
So don't even worry.
I don't want to be here until
Kim's
7.
like, I don't.
I love you, but I don't want to be here till 7. I'm wiped out. I call this the ultimate salesperson. I actually have written a book, and it's kind of like 50 anecdotes of things that as I'm going around in life and I'm observing things. It's things that I just picked up on in life, and I'll get you guys a copy of it and give you a taste of what it is. But
would it be good if we reviewed your book afterwards on Amazon?
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what's funny. I've written it. I need to have it self-published. I haven't published it yet.
Oh.
So maybe you can help me with that. That would be kind of cool. Anywho, during the course of my selling, right, professionally, and when I was a kid, I'm going to kind of be a little tangential here and just move around. But I had my own loading and hauling business, right? When I was 17, and it was with my brother, who was my younger brother, just 14 months apart, Jim, who I love, we're super close. But it was, when it came down to like negotiating or asking for money, he would be like, get in there, Pete, do your thing, right? He would never do it. And I started, just from that time up until I kind of started maturing, which for me was late in life at about 27, right? From 17 to 27, as I look back at my life, and particularly my income, and all of this I believe relates to you guys and what you do daily, and I'll tie it all in. My success was predicated on the decisions that I made, right? Or the decisions that I didn't make, certainly. And certainly my income, when I look at it, oh my goodness, 17 to 27, I don't know, I think the peak I had was like $21,000 or something. It was just not good. And then 27 to 37, as I started to mature and make better decisions, and I met a lady, and I was like, okay, I think, there's other things I want in life. Then I think I got it up to like, the $50,000, $60,000 plateau. And then at 37, man, I really started making better decisions, right? And better choices. And that's really kind of what all this is about and what it's spun into. And then things happened that I never thought would happen, right? I mean, I got into the 6 figures, and I'll go back, and not that defines you as a person, but we all work for, it's nice to have the money, right? For the opportunities it affords you. And I think that's kind of a cool thing. So that's just a little pre-story, and then I'll kind of get into this. But what this is the ultimate salesperson is what I believe the top 10 qualities are of that type of person, right? And I guarantee there will be a couple things in here that you maybe don't know, and even you guys could take away, and if you employ them in your business, you'll probably be a little bit more successful, or maybe just something on a philosophical side, right? Just, sometimes when you hear something different, you get a different spin, you learn something, right? So that's kind of what this is. It's a compilation of my thoughts based on all the things that I've done. And to go back to my adolescent years, if you will, I went to school for a little while, then they basically like escorted me out. I mean, I was making bad decisions, okay? Nothing criminal, just really stupid and immature. And like I said, it impacted me several ways. Financially was one of them. As I started to mature, I can think back in my early business career when I first got into the title insurance business at like 27. I was working in the rent-a-car insurance replacement business, the worst possible business you could ever get into. Your customers would come in there, they just got into a wreck, they dealt with the insurance adjuster, they'd been to the body shop, and then they came to you for some crappy car for like 15 bucks a day, right? And it was just like not cool at all. I was at a chamber mixer, just doing my thing, promoting it was a company called Amorex, which was actually owned by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. When all of this was kind of just getting started, you know, and now Enterprise is what it is, right? It's a monster, but this was back in the 80s, early 80s. And I remember just going around going, hi, I'm Pete Dunlap, you don't know me, but you're gonna love me. I'm Pete Dunlap, you don't know me, but you're gonna love me. And there just happened to be a lady there in the title insurance business. Her name was Jan Lyons. And she worked for North American Title Company. They're in Texas, right? North American?
Yeah.
I think they are. And she was kind of watching me do my thing, right? And she came up to me and she's like, you know, this and that, we had our exchange, our pleasantries and whatnot. And she's like, do you know what the title insurance business is? And I'm like, no, look at me, okay? I work for Amorex Rent-A-Car. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't own a house. I don't even have credit, probably, for God's sakes. And she's like, well, you know, I've been watching you, and we had this sales job, but I couldn't put you in there right now, but would you be willing to start at something entry level? I'm like, yeah. This guy's like, my boss is like beating his girlfriend. She was coming in with dark glasses
Oh
on,
my
right,
gosh.
with bruises on her face. The guy was a coke fiend, just a nightmare. And I come from really good parents, you know, God, you know, thank God. My parents were married 57 years before I lost my dad last year. And so, I mean, really good roots. No excuses to the decisions that I was making, right? But I was just like, yeah, I'll never forget that day. I started at North American Title, back in the title department, right? Where all the title people, you know, title people, not the sales guys. They're like, hello.
Yeah.
When they see me, they're terrified, okay? They're just like, give me my file, let me examine it, da-da-da-da-da. $1,100 a month, okay? And I was like, okay, I'm hitting the big time now, right? I mean, when I got to 20,000, I was like, yeah, I got this, right? So, $1,100 a month, they stuck me back there. I was like going through microfiche, right? Doing all this stuff, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, I can't. Thank God my manager at the time, Pat Stoner, she saw me. She saw me the way I interact, and she's like, I gotta get you out of here, Dunlap. They put me in customer service, and then the first opportunity I got, I was like, well, can you give me a sales job, right? I mean, I spoke up, I went for it. I was just like, and prior to that, I used to be kind of a shy kid. As I went through, as I was making all these bad decisions, then I had some good mentors, and I'll get into that here in a minute. But that's kind of, after I got it, they brought in a branch manager who was super shy. She was great at escrow, put her in a conference room, right, with 10 attorneys, kill it. Walk her outside the door and she would literally pee her pants in front of people, right, if you had to tell her to go get business. Polished, suited up. She met me and she's like, I need you, right? It was like, she could handle the inside, but she's like, I needed a front guy for the outside. So kind of started the whole thing. But all of that, up to that point, I really was I was super green, right? So all of this comes post those moments, right? And everything that I've learned from them. So let's see here, do I just...
If you wake it up, we should be cool. If not, maybe we need to hit another button.
Yeah.
So as we walk up here, Peter, our mantra for the whole session is to be better at everything.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and you've been great at everything you've done up till this point. However, we're gonna be better with this TV situation right here. You need to log in as Logan, Michael log in.
Oh yeah, go ahead, do that, please.
Logan.
You can dive it out. Catch 21.
I'm all about the improvement and the betterness, certainly, because I had a lot of improving to do.
All right,
All right,
Peter,
cool. Okay,
here we
so
are.
here we go.
Continue on,
The
please.
ultimate salesperson, and I'm a big believer, you know, questioning, just challenging people too, right? I've been athletic. That's one thing I've always been an athlete. I was a collegiate tennis player. I mean, I've always been competitive, which in our business, I mean, let's face it, it's competitive, right? There's, how many agents are there? 100,000? Is that true?
In
all of
Texas.
DFW? Or is
Yeah.
that in Texas?
Well, just Collin County alone, I know there's 8,600.
Okay, I was under the, I think, I read some statistic that there might be 100,000 agents in like greater DFW. Is that possible?
Metro Tex has like 40,000 or something like that,
so
right?
that number's, it's possible. So clearly it's competitive, right? So my challenge to you, and what I challenge everyone, and I've trained literally thousands of lenders and even agents and title people over the course of my now professional career with the biggest title companies, Fidelity and First American, in 25 years, okay? So, you know, I do have some legitimate experience. All right, so I hit enter, oh, return. No, shift, enter. No, got backspace. Maybe, let's see here. You guys are making it so tough on me, huh? I got you. How about this? Clicked on the second screen. Did that come up? No. Oh, how about we just do a slideshow? Isn't that? Peter. I'm a people person. I'm not a technology whiz.
Agree. Get it.
Right? I mean, I did.
Slideshow,
Put this-
Zoom slideshow.
I did build a PowerPoint
You did.
and sent it over.
You did. It's currently on your screen too, which is really weird.
I know, right? It should be up there. Got to see this picture of my
I know.
first
Really
mentor,
good picture.
right? Strange. Oh well. I'm sure we've all been there where you show up and you always, you know, do your thing and try to get your technology right. Huh.
Every time.
Maybe it doesn't work.
This is crazy. I don't know. Let me try
My second.
I know. That would be good.
I did bring pictures.
Really tough.
Everyone gets a 5x7 to me after the program.
And he signs it.
Let's see here. It used to be just a straight text thing, but then I added in some photos to make it more fun.
Yeah, you're awesome photos. I saw it before. Logan.
I can't tell you that I'd be able to figure it out either.
It's strange, huh?
Does anyone here know anything?
PowerPoint? I
know
know
about
usually
this.
it's slides.
Like, I don't know why this isn't showing.
I guarantee if it was on their phones, they'd know. Uh-huh.
So it's on here.
Do you want to just text it to
Yeah,
us?
which is
We'll follow
crazy
along.
weird.
Yeah, if you just email it to us and tell us what side to go to.
You guys and gals on your phones, imagine life
It's
before
showing
the
like something
time.
different here.
Yeah, that's the home screen, but I don't know.
Oh, Peter.
Why would you?
It's okay, I'm not offended much.
All right, just take a.
Not much.
Okay.
Only
Like,
mine.
Just like when the guys were presenting
now it's
last night, right?
Whoops. So you gotta go back to the.
It's like, what are you doing? I present, so I don't like it when people, it's like, can you have some manners? So I basically just blew her off and she finally got the clue and walked away as I ignored her. It's like,
Yeah.
be respectful,
There were a couple times I looked back because I was like, this isn't
Good
happy
noise.
hour. Like,
right?
It's crazy. It starts like.
Other
Yeah,
people
it's
talking.
running more, cause I saw you look back, and it's like, yeah, they're just.
Yeah.
right away from you, and I was like,
Man, they trying to get out of this view. Clearly it doesn't work. But when I go
no,
here.
we're crushing it. It's fine.
Oh, there you go,
Shake it out.
that's in there.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right, Peter, we
like
have
that.
some traction.
That's fine.
We have traction.
We
I'm
have
not
traction,
sure.
we have
I
traction.
apologize. I think it was a Windows 10 thing.
That's hilarious.
Windows 10.
Did
Let's
you
go with that.
apologize to Peter?
Yeah, all right, so.
Ever since Bill Gates stepped down.
And
it's
you
been
guys
fun.
can call me Pete. I told you the Peter story. It does get kind of funny because at the opposite, like Peter, right? They love to make fun of me like that, whatever reason. Okay, so there's my mom right there, right? My very first and best sales trainer ever. I used to watch my mom when we'd go out and just the way she interacted with people, right? She's Spanish, from Spain, grew up in the Philippines. And like I said, I just have one brother, parents married 57 years. She's a master, just a master. And I used to be painfully shy as a kid. I mean, and you'll see why later. But just, I don't know, I just didn't have the confidence, right? And I can remember early on when I would go interview with people and they're like, you know, Dunlap, it looks like, it seems like you've got some skills, but you're kind of glib too. I didn't even know what the hell that meant. So I left there, right, and looked it up and I'm thinking, wow, I want to have some substance, right? I don't want to be that person that people like, I like hanging out with you, but you really aren't teaching me anything. And as agents, right, you certainly don't want to be just the pretty face. You want to be the pretty face who delivers information to your clients. I mean, I think that's super important. And just like when I talk to lenders, it's like, what are you doing to win business? They're like, well, I'm like, oh, just your magnanimous self. It's just gonna come over to you and you're gonna get realtor struck. It doesn't work like that, right? You've got to be better than other people and other agents. And so this lady right here, she was the first to kind of teach me, first of all, be brave, have courage, and But you know what, had some substance to you too. And she was very worldly. My mom was a stewardess as a kid when it was a big job in the 50s. She's been all over the world, right? Crashed every country in the world when she was like 18, 19 years old. And you can't teach that in any book or in any school what she did. And so I just always like to pay tribute to her, you know. So that's my mom, Yvonne. And then my dad, that's my dad, Tom. I'm a blue collar kid, right? The first business I had, it was a loading and hauling business. I had a 71 Chevy truck, and we put sideboards on it. And my parents, though, they did buy a house in a nice area, so all the neighbors, my first client that I got good money off of his name was Samuel Armacost, who was the president of Bank of America. This dude was a big shot, right? And so I was negotiating deals with guys like him when I was 16, 17 years old. But my dad is the one who taught me, hey, get out there and do the work. He was you can tell. He was an amazing metal artist. We had, Bugs Bunny and whatever we wanted in metal, like in our rooms, he could draw it and then weld it, and then also would go to junkyards, and what we would see as junk, he would turn into art. He was just super artistic, and he actually worked as a purchasing agent for a plumbing company, but he loved to get home. His shop was his deal, right? Put on his coveralls, just get out there and work, but that guy taught me how to work, and he was a super shy guy, but just a really good, loving dad. And like I said, my parents, 57 years, it doesn't happen that often, right? Good example. I was really blessed. So that's the guy who taught me how to work. This is my personal stylist.
Oh, now it's coming together.
Okay.
Okay. I'm
kind of-
understanding some things now.
Kind of a funny story.
Sounds really funny.
Ashley, her name's Ashley.
I call
another
her
reason-
Ash. I call her Ash.
You call her Ash,
Her
I
good
do
friend,
too.
she said her good friends call her Ash.
I call
It's
her
alright,
other
read that.
things. This is one of the reasons why it pays to be a good salesperson, right? To be outgoing, an extrovert, et cetera, et cetera. The story behind this is that I gotta believe I would have met Mike at some point, but it's kind of serendipitous that I met him the way I did. Ashley actually worked for me at Fidelity as a salesperson and was cold calling one day, and lo and behold, she met Mr. Acquisto here, and next thing you know, we kind of got together, and then, as a senior VP, and hers, it just didn't work out, so she left Fidelity and went to work somewhere else, but she's been a great influence in my life, and I'm colorblind too, so just wanted to pay her some tribute, and do this for Mike really more than anything.
Yeah, thank you. I
Okay, you got it.
appreciate that.
Okay, so you get it now, it's kind of
Yeah.
funny. Okay.
Full circle.
So, as it relates to last night, right, I'm thinking about this, and I was just like, wow. Brandon and those guys, what was his partner's name, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just,
Well, not.
no, I get it. Not
Okay.
the same.
I thought that was all clear to everybody here, and if Peter was going there, I just
Business
Logan,
partners.
I stood up for him. Okay, just remember that.
Business partners. Totally
Okay.
get it. I am from the Bay Area, so
Yeah.
I get it. Not that I ever, thank goodness, but whatever, okay? All good. Levity, fun, et cetera, et cetera. Anywho, the most important quality, I believe, that a salesperson can have, right, is you gotta be brave. You just have to be brave. Public speaking, right at the top of the list, next to death, right, and yet that's what we do every day. And then other stuff I'll talk about here too, but the bravery piece for me is like, just, man, right up there. And like I said, as a super shy kid, when you remember those days back in school when it's like, okay, we're doing a speech, who wouldn't go into a panic, right? It's like, oh God, who actually was like, unless there was like two people who wanted to be in drama as kids, like, yes, I can't wait, let's do a speech. This stuff, right? So I learned this a long time ago as I was I had earned my way into a leadership program at First American by production out in the field, right? And I met this guy who was there, his name was Bob Law. And I told him, I was competing, there was MBAs there and all kinds of guys. I never graduated from school. I went in there and he was like, listen, Dunlap, it's okay. You've got experience. You're winning business, right? Your numbers speak for themselves. If you just continue to practice repeated acts of courage on a daily basis, you're only limited by the boundaries you set yourself. Does everyone get that concept? I mean, I think that's so powerful and so true, right? But this, you just do this every day, and I don't care what it is. I'm gonna relate it later, but think of this as, you know, the prospecting piece, right? It's probably the most difficult thing, and yet it's your lifeblood. If you don't do it, you will perish, right, in real estate. And this guy is a fierce prospector, and it takes courage to do it all the time. Doing the unnatural, picking up the phone. For some people, you know, putting a presentation together, getting in front of people and telling everyone why you're so amazing in a nice, kind of fun way, right? Not being braggadocious, you get it? Has everyone heard of Leo Buscaglia? Okay, see, I promise I teach you a couple nuggets, right? This guy had an early influence in my life. He's known as the Love Doctor. He's actually passed away, rest in peace. When I was at Sonoma State, I went up to Sonoma State to play some tennis, and like I said, I was just a baby. And you know, some people are more mature at 18. I was like 12, you know, 18 going on 12. I just kind of had a reversal. I was going through campus one day, and Leo Buscaglia was speaking in the courtyard. It was a smoking hot day. The dude, I remember seeing him, he was sweating all over the place, and he was telling this story of him walking through Central Park. And I kind of listened to it, and I'm picking up, and I'm like, I can relate to this, right? Because it was a story about a shy guy. And basically what shy guys do, he was walking through the park, he saw this beautiful lady, and what shy guys did, or at least what I did, is like, oh yeah, man, I want to say hi. And then when that moment would come, and you just let it go, right? And so he's describing this, he's walking through the park, he sees this beautiful blonde, and he's like, oh yeah, I gotta tell her something, I gotta, you know, let her know her hair's gorgeous, or I love her outfit, or whatnot. And like I said, typically, all that trepidation, shy people, she walked right by, right? Well, at that moment, he's telling the story, right? At that moment, he decided, you know what? I'm not gonna live like this anymore. I'm gonna go up to her and tell her what I'm thinking. And I'm paraphrasing, of course, but the story was 25 years later, they were still married. So I started thinking, you know what? I'm a decent looking guy, right? I mean, it's, you know, I'm maybe not the most organized, maybe making some dumb choices, but I'm certainly not stupid. And I'm gonna start kind of changing the way I live, right? And start making some better decisions. Didn't happen in school, it took a little while longer, but some of the things as it relates to you, this relationship piece, right? I certainly worked on it. And again, remember I told you to be a little tangential. The math piece in your business as it relates to like prospecting and whatnot, I became very acutely aware of the importance of mathematics, and certainly in your business, not just the settlement statement or whatnot, but every aspect of our business, right? If you look at it in life, so much of it is really math dependent. I mean, it really is. What Mike does every day, the sheer number of calls he makes, it's a numbers game. So we'll talk more about that later, but I wanted to touch on that. Okay, so I think we can all agree, right, that bravery, you gotta be brave. It's important, okay? So have some guts. Next time you're thinking about not doing something, go give it a shot.
So yesterday really was a lot about that, okay?
Yes.
And we tried different things that were beyond our normal scale and scope. So getting up there and necessarily speaking wasn't Shauna's first choice of things to do. And for me, it also pushed me a lot because being like super detail oriented and being like into the weeds of what it is was totally not what I had an interest in doing. So we both pushed ourselves in different ways, and then you come across with a product at the end that if you put in the end effort and energy, I think comes across fine. So yeah, I mean, you have to do it all the time in your career with pushing yourself and being uncomfortable.
You do.
And going beyond that.
Gotta be in a conflict zone.
Yeah.
Be in that combat zone, right? That's exactly right. Yeah, that was, I took pictures of all those screens that he shot because I'm gonna put something together too. And one of the things I've learned, and I would encourage you to do this with whatever I put out here too, is I've learned from my mentors, and I've had many good ones, is that, hey, the ultimate way to honor somebody is to use their stuff, okay? That's the way to do it. So I'm gonna honor those guys too and use it for sure. And of course, I'm grateful. My dad was a Korean veteran too, so it meant something to me. I put this in here because these are my boys. This is Max, my hippie kid. He's 25, lives up in Tahoe, and then Jack is he's my mathematician. I told Jack, look, when he's running a company, make sure I hire Max, okay? But Jack's a sophomore at University of Nevada, 4.0 every semester. I mean, the kid's got, he's on the way. He is a math big data, computer science kid. I mean, he's awesome, but selling, it's what I do. People think that, I'm like this. No, it's not. This is what I do, right, for a living. And then I separate myself, that separation between church and state, right? It's not who I am by any means. I am super fun, and I do love to dance, but the selling piece is, right, I do this for a profession, and I believe God bless us all with our certain skills, but these guys, they mean everything to me. I was married for 24 years and then sadly got a divorce. I raised them by myself for the last 8 years, so I got thick skin and I learned a lot about myself and them, and their mom took off to Virginia, so it was just 3 of us, and it was quite the experience, it really was. But they turned out to be, they're great kids, they're hardworking, and we're super close. I didn't even mean to cut my face out of there. I don't know what happened. It just kind of, when you're loading pictures up, it's a complete picture on my phone, but when I moved it, it just didn't happen. So there you have it. Okay. This is obviously important. Remember, going back, I chose 10 categories, right, that I thought were really important. And just sort of, when I go through it, I think we can all agree, you got to be dedicated to a craft, right, no matter what it is. If you have a family, you need to be dedicated to it. And some of the things I talked, this physical thing, I'm a big proponent in just taking good care of yourself. It's really important, and I'll show you why later. You'll see a picture, it's kind of funny. But that physical aspect, because what we do is a grind, right? We got to get up. I'm not going to get up at 4 o'clock except to pee, but I do get up at 6, okay? I do get up. It's between 6 and 6:30 because usually my head just starts spinning. I just can't do it, and then I'm just like, okay, forget laying here, right? I'll just toss and turn. But that physical aspect, right? You gotta be strong to get through life. And I see people just like, right? And I'm 57 years old, and I'm like, I feel pretty good, I take care of myself, and it's like, my energy level is all natural. I don't take any pills except like a vitamin D, because nobody gets enough vitamin D, right? When you have a physical, it's like, you can't get it. Even if you lay in the sun forever, you don't get enough vitamin D. But the physical aspect, again, just to feel good and to be able to charge. And I see these people, particularly after I lived in Vegas for 22 years, Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area for 35, Vegas for 21, then I've been here for a year now. But I would see people, and it gets hot in the summer. Nobody wants to go out, right, and see people if you're not in good shape. Let's just say that. So then what that does to your mental state, right? It makes a huge impact. It just has a tremendous impact in the confidence and stuff I'll talk about later, but just this dedication to your mental state. Meaning, I tell my reps all the time, what are you doing to get better? Do you read a book? Do you see any webinars? Who have you gone to see, right? What are you doing to train your mind? And more often than not, it's like, I got my, I look at my phone, or that's not enough. You need to do more, right? And I just see people, and that leads to other things. I mean, this could be a 3-day conversation, right? We could do a symposium on all this stuff right here. But I think you guys know you gotta take care of your physical, and when I say that's you, right? It's up to you. It doesn't just kind of bewitched moment, just shake your nose and things just happen. It actually requires effort. This training part, physical and mental. The training stuff never stops. That's one of the things I love about Mike is these guys get it, right? They totally get it. What they're doing for you, this is awesome. I mean, to be able to be a part of this stuff. And it's 3 o'clock, but I get geeked up over it. You can tell, right? I mean, it's just like, I'm excited. I was super excited to come, put the effort into the presentation, and you gotta work at things to get better, because things are constantly changing, right? And so it takes effort to get better, and oftentimes that's part of the reward too. At least that's what I've learned, right? Is that you put in all that hard work, and then you have some success, and all of you guys are successful. It's about being more successful, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, so the training, and then this is the part that I told you, with the upbringing that I had. My parents were cool. They really were. My mom, I had no privacy as a kid, none whatsoever. She was a total hawk. My dad, she was just in our shit all the time. My dad, kind of low key, but I mean, we were the type of family, like, we ate dinner together like 17 years in a row. We would sit down, have dinner, enjoy it. Learned a lot from them, but the thing I picked up from my mentors and from other people is this inability for most to kind of self-examine what's going on in their own lives, right? And look, I've made thousands of mistakes, some with little or no consequences, some with moderate, and some with relatively significant. Nothing where I've been in jail or anything like that, but just things that were, like, I wish I wouldn't have done, you know, just dumb decisions, just really dumb ones. But I've always had the ability to go in and look at myself and not blame the world, not blame my parents, not blame the government or whatever, and just say, you know what, I own that, I blew it. Okay, last time I checked, perfection stopped about 2,000 years ago, so I'm okay with it, right? I'm good with it. But many people, you all see it, right? People just can't do that. And one of the things I encourage all of you, and because we all have, we're human beings, right? We have our moments, but self-examine yourself constantly, right? Always see what's going on. Be able to assess yourself, and most importantly, do it honestly. Right? Be honest with your assessment, because that's the hardest part, right? People just sit there and they just refuse to believe that they're like, they can't get better. And that's just dumb. It's just dumb. So, you guys get it. Okay. All right, let's see here. Hold on. Mr. Technology is at it. All right? Okay, so I put this in here because, right? You've been going all day hard. Let's just have a moment and just. I took this picture at the top of Diamond Peak. I'm a snow skier. Love to snow. Any snow skiers? Okay, we were in Texas, right? Not exactly in ski country, but I was looking at Taos. There's like Taos Air. You can go to. I've always wanted to ski New Mexico, but in California, I mean, I grew up skiing in Squaw Valley, right? It's like the greatest mountain ever. And then I had a place in Utah, and I skied Utah a lot too. But this was at the top of Diamond Peak. I had so many pictures I wanted to put in there, but I just ran out of time and space, right? But my son is right next to me, and we were skiing all day looking at that. It's just, so I just put it in there just for all of us, because we've all had a long week and a long day. So anyway, just take a moment, enjoy Tahoe, right? Awesome. Okay. Has everyone, before I get into this, another nugget. Has everyone heard of the 4 agreements? Okay, look at all the, I'm just pouring out the gold mines for you guys, okay? The 4 agreements. I tend to wax a little philosophical, and I have a little existential kind of background too, which basically just means, I don't know what you guys know about existentialism, but it's really just about a life full of decisions versus a life where a guy sits in a park and does nothing. It's not the life you want. You want the life that, even though it seems overwhelming, right? Get up, what am I gonna wear? What am I gonna do? Who am I gonna call? Where am I gonna go? That's the life that you want. A life that's full of decisions is a rich life. A life where you can get, the bums you see or whatever, I'm not bagging on bums, but people who choose to do nothing, it's not the life that you want. Okay, that's basically what existentialism is as my understanding. And Don Miguel Ruiz took a dive into this. He's this Hispanic philosopher, right? Modern day. And he condensed life into 4 things. And when I read this, I mean, this is a life changer. This right alone, what I'm going to give you right now, can seriously change your life. It's not up here, but Don Miguel Ruiz is the author. You can look, you can Google it. It's all over the interwebs and whatnot. But what he did is he condensed it, and I want you to think about this later, not just now, because I'm just going to give this to you right now. But number 1, do what you say. Okay? A lot of people, talk a lot, but they don't necessarily back it up, right? Which is the integrity piece, which is what reminded me of it, okay? Do what you say. I can tell you this, as a sales manager for a major title company, major Fortune 300 companies, hundreds, perhaps thousands of people have come into our office, clients, buyers and sellers, and they've said to me that they're like, people. I go, hey, how's it going, this and that? They're like, I'd never use that agent again. Terrible. Never call me, didn't do what they say, is all they want is their check, they don't give up about me. I'm just like, wow, I'm so sorry, well, if you need some help, give me a call. I would oftentimes give that feedback to that person, right? That's a sad day if you're an agent when you're just thinking about your check. People want that. You should be building lifelong relationships with people, okay? So that's number 1, do what you say. Number 2, this is big, don't take things personally. Now, I want you to think about this in the scope of your life, right? We all get butt hurt. I mean, let's face it, we do. People say things to you, you're like, that wasn't so nice. But if I said something to Mike, if I go to Mike, I go, man, I really hate that shirt. You might go, okay, the reality is, it's not Mike, it's what's going on in my life that I would say that to him. Hence, his conclusion of, don't take things personally. Think about that in your life, right? How oftentimes we do take things when it's really, it's like, take a step back and go, wow, why would Kim say that to me? What's going on, you know? Powerful, right? Super powerful. This guy, he got it. This one, talk about a nugget, this is awesome. Don't make assumptions. Now, does anyone know why he would come up with that? Let me think about it. You know the answer?
Well, I mean,
What's the obvious
the
answer?
classic one is when you assume we make an ass out of you and me,
Okay.
and often you're incorrect.
Bingo. That's what it is. We all do that, right? We all go through this. I mentioned the word trepidation often because something will happen, and then 50 different scenarios run through our head. More often than not, none of it ever happens. Think about how much simpler your life would be if you didn't make assumptions. Super hard. We all do it, but it's the point of this, just this whole kind of way of living, right? If you could do that in your life, how much better would your life be? Probably save your stomach lining a little bit too, right? And then the last one he says is, do the best that you can. Do the best that you can. Do we all do the best that we can? Of course not. We're human beings. We don't do that. We're not perfect, but it's certainly something to strive for, right? So, as it relates to the integrity, I mentioned the follow through. This, I've done a lot of reading and a lot of studying. I appreciate this. This is out of the Hoover Institute, you know, the think tank, right, down at Stanford University, okay? And I'm sure there's guys back east looking at this stuff too, but safety. We all agree that we want our kids safe. We put them in car seats, right? We lock our doors. Some people have guns. We put our money in secured things. We all have passwords. Everyone wants to feel safe, right? Well, what they started doing is investing millions of dollars and looking at, okay, let's look at it from a business perspective, right? What are we doing to keep our clients safe? Okay, so imagine you've got a buyer or seller, right? You're working with them. You're going through this big transaction. Maybe it's their first. Maybe they haven't bought homes before. So you might want to think to ask them if you aren't already. It's like, hey, anything keeping you up at night, right? You worried about anything? Am I doing a great job? Are you loving me? When we're done, are you going to refer me? You see where I'm going with this? We're in the business world, and yet we don't check on our clients to see if they're safe. All those people who came in, I talked to thousands, literally thousands. Whenever there was a problem in the lobby, Pete, get up there and handle it. That's what I did, right? I mean, I was like, you know, Jerry Maguire, shaking hands, making things happen, talking to people, but I made them feel safe. And their agents or their lenders, when people are coming in and they think they're signing a fixed rate loan and then they're getting adjustable, you think they feel safe? Of course they don't. And I guarantee it, there's situations out there where you've got your client, you're not reaching out to them enough. I can say that with 100% commitment that you are not, and if you say you are, you're such the exception, it's not even funny. So think about that in terms of your business. What are you doing to make your clients feel safe? The clients that you are in a transaction with, and the ones that are in your sphere of influence, right? That you talk to. What are you doing to make them feel safe? Incredibly powerful.
So the question is, what's keeping you up at night? Is the direct question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Right? What's keeping you up at night? Talk to me. Tell me what it is. What keeps you up at night? Anything, particularly when you're in a transaction. Because
that gets up to share a lot.